email made available for the public record. It will have those email addresses blocked, and then the original will be filed under seal. Again, given that threatening type of email and the reason stated in the request. Just would note again, I didn't ask for the email addresses, they were provided, but under the circumstances, I think that's appropriate. Okay, with that, I presume the state has the next group available.
Yes, we're ready to go, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, then go ahead, please.
On November 21st, you killed my mother. In this courtroom, I watched you run her down and her broken body slide across the concrete. This woman loved and she was loved. You ran her down like she was nothing. And since that day, you have shown no remorse. You'd offered no explanation for your atrocities. It offends me that you're sitting here breathing while she is not. You are a monster. You deserve contempt and death. Sadly, with no death penalty in this state, I can only hope they lock you away someplace so deep the rats chew on your fingers at night. As for me, this will never be over until the day I'm pissing on your grave. I think it would be fair to say that for your crimes, even God hates you.
If you could just tell me, go ahead.
Yeah, for the record, Your Honor, that was the son of victim
2.
B.
If I could first thank the court, you, Your Honor, and your staff for getting us here today. I don't know how you did. You kept this under 4 weeks, and this is all going to be wrapped up, before the first anniversary, and that means a lot. So I thank you for that. And if I could thank everybody at the prosecution table, our real-life Avengers. I mean, you guys did everything you could for us, and I'm forever grateful. Thank you. And I couldn't not thank Jen Dunn and her staff. I mean, she took all of us, supported us, made us into a family, and without them, I don't think I could have gotten through this trial. And Mr. Brooks, I hope as I read my statement, you continue to roll your eyes. I hope you continue to laugh and just show how bored and unmoved you are by all of this, because I think that's important. It's important for the world to see that evil can be a tangible, living, breathing thing. I think it's important for the world to see what human rot looks like. And to all the survivors, every time he puts his hand on that empty cavity where his heart should be, I hope you all smile, and I hope you take solace in the fact that today is our day. Today is for us. Today is so we can take our handful of dirt, throw it on his grave, and move on. Because that's what we all need, and that's what we deserve. My name is Chris Owen, and I am the plaintiff. I'm here on behalf of another plaintiff, my mother, Leanna Joy Owen. Lee Owen was a mother, a grandmother, a best friend, an apartment manager, and a dancing granny. The reason none of the witnesses saw her in this courtroom is because she was executed by a child-killing sex offender. And we are both injured parties. My whole family is an injured party. To my kids, Lee Owen was Nanny. And Nanny spoiled her grandkids every chance she got. On every birthday, she would call and sing happy birthday to their voicemail so they could hear it the first thing in the morning. She went on a tour of my son's summer camp. She danced in the same parades as my youngest daughter. She wanted my oldest daughter to use her car to learn how to drive so she could teach her like she taught me. And all of that has been ripped away. But the defendant's conscience is clear. To my dad, Lee Owen was the love of his life. They met when she was 16, and he taught her how to drive. From that point on, they stayed in each other's lives. And even though they divorced, she was still his best friend. They spent a lot of time together, and she was the only one who could get him out of the house. Now my dad has nightmares of her body flying through the air and shattering against concrete. But Mr. Brooks' conscience is clear. To my brother and I, Lee Owen was our mother. A mother who, even when she was struggling, was always there for us. She was supportive of us. She always told us how proud she was of us. Growing up, all my friends and my brother's friends knew they were welcomed at our house. When they were in trouble, having problems at home, or just had to get away, she always let them stay as long as they needed to. And for years, every time I came home from the Marine Corps, she got all those same friends together so I could see everybody and spend time with them. She was the one that made sure everyone got their Christmas list out on time. She made the best eggnog I ever had. And she made my grandma's mac and cheese whenever we were together. She recently renewed her passport so she could visit my wife and I in Turkey and travel the world with us. She also couldn't wait to visit Machu Picchu with my brother. It was her dream trip. Out of all the places in the world, that was the one place she had to visit before she died. And now the best we can do is lay her ashes there. But Darrell Brooks' conscience is clear. And I believe him. Out of everything he said in this courtroom, I believe that is the one truth he told. I mean, how else could he make a witness look at each of his battered friends that he ran over and ask, how do you know who this is? Throughout her life, Lee Owen was a hard-working woman. That's why when she found herself on hard times, she was able to overcome them. Even though it took years, she dug herself out of a deep financial hole so she could live the life she wanted, the life she deserved. And she was in the middle of doing just that on the evening of November 21st, 2021. And I know this is corny and cliche to say, but Lee Owen wasn't 71 years old. She was 71 years young. She was one of the most active people I knew. She just didn't have it in her to sit still. She always had to be moving or doing something, and this often involved people. She was very social and loved being around those she cared about, and people loved her back. She had a knack for making you feel good about yourself without even trying, because she always found the good in people. Even when it was to her detriment, it never dissuaded her from helping people any way she could, without judgment, without demand for repayment or feeling she was owed anything. She did it because she knew it was the right thing to do, and it made her feel good. She accepted people for who they were and made people feel good about themselves. That is what the world lost, and you have the audacity to tell this court that your conscience is clear. I'm sorry, Mr. Brooks. There's not a human with a soul on this planet who could snuff that light out, who could steal Lee Owen from this world and have a clear conscience. And that is why you hear the term monster. That is why you hear the term demon. You know, I saw you that day. It was just after you ran over the Catholics. I saw you hanging out of the window, looking back with a smile of satisfaction on your face, laughing at an inside joke that at the time I didn't get, the punchline escaping me. I didn't get it when my mom didn't respond to my texts. I didn't get it when she didn't answer my phone calls. I didn't get it the first couple hours my brother spent looking for her. I didn't get it until my wife sent me a video of you running over children in the parade. That's when I got the punchline. And it hit me like your red SUV, Mr. Brooks. I saw pure, unrepentant evil in your face that day, and it disgusts me that you are allowed to exist. And I know the answer to the question that everyone keeps asking. I know why you did this. You did this simply because you were not in a cage. That is what I find mind-boggling. And how dare anyone say the system failed him? The system failed every one of us whose only mistake was to bring their families in the vicinity of Mr. Brooks. That poor excuse for a man should not have been on the streets. That is the failure, period. But enough about him, because today is not about him. It's about us and what we lost. I lost my mom, Lee Owen, and I wasn't always a good son. I could be selfish sometimes. I could be mean. But no matter how angry or standoffish I got, she would bend over backwards for me, even when I didn't deserve it. And now I can never tell her I'm sorry. I can never tell her I should have been more grateful. I can never tell her how much I need her in my life. Yeah, shake your head. Shake your head. You know, because that is what you took from me. And there's nothing this court can do that would provide justice in my eyes. So all I ask is that you rot, and you rot slow.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Thank you for the opportunity that you're providing both to myself and to the rest of the families and acquaintances of the folks associated with this horrible case. My name is Michael Carlson, and I'm appearing here today both as an individual and a brother to one of the victims of November 21st. I'm here today as well as a plaintiff joining a criminal complaint against Mr. Brooks with a claim against him for the damage that he has brought not only to Waukesha, but to my family. And I'm also appearing as a posthumous spokesman for the victim, my sister Tamara Durant, who can't appear here today on her own behalf because Mr. Brooks killed her. In my personal aspect, I wish I could as easily forget about Mr. Brooks as he has seemingly forgotten about himself. Every day since November 21st has been framed by what he did in my own life and our family's life. It is the reality I wake to. It is the reality I head to work to. It is the reality I confront as I try to fall asleep. It's the reality I confront as I go about the things I do during the day, my attempts to work, attempts to manage a household and be present for my children, and maintaining any sort of notion of normalcy in our life. But all these actions are simply a pantomime, Mr. Brooks, to forget that my sister was so stupidly and so needlessly killed by you. Perhaps you can forget what you did, but I can't. November 21 looms as a ground zero day in the story of my life, as I know it does in the life of so many others. I appear today also as a plaintiff. Mr. Brooks, you asked the court to identify a plaintiff many times during the course of the trial. Here I am. I'm one of many. We, the people, have brought this case and these judgments against you, Mr. Brooks. They reflect our values as a people and are enacted through laws passed by our legislatures, enforced by our law enforcement, and administered through our courts. We, the people, find you guilty. A lifetime is a long time to think and to spout nonsense. And Mr. Brooks, I want you to take no comfort in your future here in this comic book cartoon world that you've created for yourself involving the flags and barcodes and birth certificates. This is all nonsense, the stuff of teenage boys on the internet. That's not why you're here today. That's not why we're here today. We're here today and you are here today because you got in a car and instead of hitting the brakes, ran over children, elderly, and my sister Tamara. I don't want you to live in the comfort of that delusion as you live there in the court, as you live there in the prison, convincing yourself that you're the victim of something, of some crazy internet conspiracy. You're not, Mr. Brooks. You're guilty only of your own actions on that day, actions that you had an infinite number of times to stop. Any number of times you could have just hit those brakes, turned the other direction. As it stands, I'm a plaintiff, but I'm not a victim. The victim is Tamara Durant, my sister. She can't appear here on her own behalf because she's dead. She died when Mr. Brooks killed her on November 21st. Because Tamara cannot be here to speak, I will speak for her. Darrell Brooks, you took my life. I wish you hadn't. I had people to live for, people who needed me. My parents who are aging, my children who need their mother to help them make sense of their worlds, to cheer them on, to help them into their adulthood, to become friends with them. I have my grandson who relies on me, his grandmother, as much as I relied upon my own grandmother as I was growing up. I had people who needed me to cheer them on, to have me bring goodwill to the hospital bed where they were, or their families in the waiting room, who needed the comfort and prayers I brought to them in their moments of pain. I have friends who need to hear from me and families that need my early morning phone calls. I had places I wanted to see and things I needed to do. The only saving grace is I didn't know what hit me. And who would have ever guessed? Who could ever believe it? It's no surprise to anyone who knew me. After you hit me in that car, I got back up and kept dancing. I hardly skipped a beat. I didn't know you, Mr. Brooks. If the picture were reversed, if you were the stranger in the street in pain, needing care or comfort, know that I would have helped you. I ran towards pain, and I ran into danger in my life. All you had to do was ask, and you might have danced along with us. It was a parade, after all. We both died in vain on November 21st, Mr. Brooks. I died to life, and you now die to the world. We leave lives behind, family behind, children behind us. We both leave dreams, we leave choices, we leave successes, we leave failures behind us. I die to mine in an instant, you die to yours over countless days. May the God I'm with grant you the courage to confront what you've done and to remember your own name. It's the least you might do for all these that you've left behind us who will never, who can never forget. Mr. Brooks, I'd also like to acknowledge that over these last couple months, I've sent you a couple letters in prison urging you to stand up, to be a man, to grow up, to accept accountability for what you've done. I also use those letters to share with you the love of the God that I believe in and that I know my sister Tamara believed in. I use those letters to share with you especially the story of the final act of Christ on the cross, where he is hanging between two murderers, and he turns to the one and he gives them forgiveness. I urge you to remember, Mr. Brooks, that there were two murderers on that day. One who mocked the holy living in God, and one who accepted accountability for who he was. Your Honor, I urge you to provide Mr. Brooks a lifetime in prison to please contemplate that story and to remember his name and to contemplate which side of Christ he wishes to hang on. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The family of victim A is going to speak next. They do have some minors with them, so I'd just like to give the camera a second to adjust for that. And also, one of the minors does wish to make a statement and is somewhat vertically challenged. I'm wondering if she should stand over so that you may see her, or
Sure. She be taken out. Before I have them come up, I believe Mr. Brooks was attempting to get the court's attention, so let me address him quickly.
I wanted to order of the court, if I may, really quick, pertaining to the last speaker. I have an issue with, if it pleases the court, we can address it later, or if you want to address it now, I'm not sure.
These are sentencing remarks. I'm not going to interrupt those sentencing remarks to have you address him individually.
No, I'm not talking about addressing him individually.
Mr. Brooks, we're going to continue. I'm not sure what you could possibly bring to the court's attention about a speaker who's already made a statement.
A very valid issue that I can bring to the
You can
court.
put it in writing, sir, while you're sitting there, and if it's something I need to address, I will. But I'm not going to disrupt what's happening right now to address that. You need to put it in writing. All right, go ahead, Ms.
So, put it in writing that
Mr. Brooks, please put it in writing.
that's
If you
the
need some
same,
paper,
that's the
then-
same person you had to work with the father of, right?
Go ahead, Ms. Dunn.
Like I said,
The
the same
record speaks
person.
for itself. All of those issues were previously put on the record. There's no need for you to make any
That is him
commentary
though,
about
right?
it.
You did work with his father though, right?
Mr. Brooks, stop. If you interrupt me again, you're gonna risk going into the other courtroom. I'm not gonna have
So
you
you're gonna hold me in
degrade
contempt?
the integrity of these proceedings
I'm not
and the
attempting to
solemnity of
cause a
what's going on
controversy. I
right
just
now.
wanted to know
By
that.
once again trying to derail what's happening and
Man,
take
you
the
always
focus off
talk
of.
about somebody trying to derail something as if that was the plan, like somebody coming
Mr.
here to
Brooks, I'm
derail
advising
something.
you to be quiet or I will clear this courtroom and under Illinois versus Allen, you will lose your right to be present while the remainder of these individuals give their statements.
Okay, well, come on with it.
Come on with it.
Once they start,
Bring
I
it.
expect you to be
Come
quiet.
on with it, because that's what you've been waiting to do the whole time.
Shit, listen up and listen what she has to say.
All right.
God damn.
Sir, you're gonna have to be removed. I'm sorry. I can't tolerate that from anyone. Mr. Brooks, my admonishment to you is the next person's going to get up and they're going to start their statement. And if
Okay, yeah, but you
interrupt-
made it seem like I'm trying to purposely interrupt that,
Mr. Brooks,
and I don't think
I'm
that's
turning
fair
to
to do
them.
that.
Please be quiet.
Okay, yeah, I still have the First Amendment right to be heard and to speak. I still have that right.
Not
Mr. Brooks,
anymore.
this is a sentencing hearing.
I don't
The
care
trial
what it is. You're not
All
gonna
right.
continue.
He is arguing
You're
with
not-
me. He is now forfeiting
You're not
his
gonna
right to be
continue.
present.
You're
Everyone
not
is to
gonna
clear the courtroom
continue.
while he's moved to the next courtroom, and I'll make the appropriate findings when I'm able to do that without
So can I get a
interruption.
finding of fact? Can I get a
I'm
legal
stepping
finding
off
of
the
fact?
bench
Because I don't
there,
agree to a
recess while that
stopper.
happens.
More stopples and findings of facts. Yeah, that went from one comment to a blow up.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, he's even during all this with the victims trying to speak and get their stories out, he's still wanting to get his point across, like it's going to make a difference. This guy is long gone. They're just waiting to sentence him and have him go away for the rest of his natural born pathetic life. What an idiot. God. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Joey Nugg Show. We're streaming the Darrell Brooks Sentencing, Waukesha Christmas parade victims. This is the first day that the victims got to make their statements. Wow. It's been rough. Really has been. And
Yeah, the
once
details
again,
are fucking crazy.
yeah, once again, crazy Darrell Brooks has interrupted everything and made it all about himself. And of course, it is all about him at the end of the day. But it's not more real. It's more about these people that, good Lord, their families and lost family members, and they're going to be distraught and affected for the rest of their lives. This is just a horrific thing that happened. Jesus.
What did he want to point out about that last speaker?
I really don't know because we never got to it.
He was about
But-
to say it.
Yeah, but she was like, we don't care about it. It's already passed. There's nothing you have to say about what she had to say. It's going to make, he still wants to argue his point.
Yeah,
That
his
point's
rights.
been, that point's already been passed. That term of arguing has long passed at this point for Mr. Brooks. Mr. Brooks is just waiting to get sent down the river. He just doesn't know how big a towel he's going to need. Because he's going to need more than to dry himself off from being shipped down the river. He's going to need it for all those crocodile tears. He's not upset now, but trust me, when they give him all those years, he's going to get football numbers. He ain't getting single numbers. He's getting football numbers. That means the double digits, my friend.
I mean,
Yeah, he's going to be crying those big crocodile tears then. I wish we could see him then. Unfortunately, the camera won't be on him then when he cries himself to try to cry himself to sleep. And Bubba it tells him to shut up, boy. I want to hear that. You a killer. Act like one, tough guy. It's going to get crazy. Waiting for this. So we've had different interruptions so far on this case, ladies and gentlemen. This morning we had a bomb scare that hit the building. The sheriff's department is on standby, and they're on ready to handle anything that's going to go on. And it's getting crazy. It's getting crazy. I say we ought to take another break. We'll come back with another video. What do you think?
yeah, we come back.
Yeah, because I don't know how long this is going to be. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen that are streaming live. I don't mean to bust anything up, but we're not seeing nothing. So we'll be back as soon as we see some antics, more courtroom antics. Yeah, that was a play on on your name. See ya.
Some more courtroom antics. Huh?